Hello everyone, welcome to another video in the series Everything You Should Know About Immortal. Today we will be looking at Louis the Ninth or Saint Louis, a very interesting immortal for Lightning March. And I think Louis is a good immortal. However, I don't think he's going to be in the main Lightning team because, as a Lightning main for a very long time myself, I think Louis was a good option to when Hammurabi was the main damage dealer, but nowadays it turns out like Genghis Khan after the buff is better than Hammurabi, then Louis tends to fall off. And in this video, I'm gonna cover everything you need to know about Louis and explain why he is good immortal, but he is not in your main Lightning team. And as always, we need to know about the characters, background and history, and who he is before we go into the game. Louis, also known as Saint Louis, was King of France from 1226 to 1270, renowned for his piety and justice. He reformed French law, promoted fairness in courts, and supported the poor. A devout Catholic, he led the 7th and 8th Crusades to the Holy Land. Thought both campaigns were unsuccessful. Not gonna lie, before this game, I didn't know who this Louis the Ninth is. I heard about Saint Louis, but not that, I didn't know who he was, like in history or something like that. I just heard about the name. So when I made this video, I managed to, speak a little bit about around history about Saint Louis. And it was very interesting. If you guys are interested in that, you can definitely Google up and go to YouTube to find more about this character. Now we are back into the game and we have to know where we can get Louis from. Louis is or was a KBK immortal, and now you can find him at King of the Hill. I know it doesn't say up here, but you can find him in King of the Hill, Lucky Spin, and Summoning Hall as well. From the harbor, random immortal fragments. That is the most common place. You can't find him in the market. Although he's a little bit older KVK Immortals and he has been around for I think almost 2 years now. When he came out he was really good, right? And people were trying to get him, and you could have found his fragment in the KVK chest, but they removed that long time ago. So the best way to get him now, I think, in a hurry, Lucky Spin. Also, I found out during the making of this video, you can get him in the Golden Path shop, which I think is the most valuable, place to get Louis fragments. So if you go for him, go to check the Golden Path. You need to go past level 50 first before you can get him, or at least have enough golden coins to buy from the shop. And of course you need 60 fragments to unlock, and you need 960 fragments to max out his immortal and unlocking the artifact slot. But nowadays with the new update of the immortal specializations, you're probably gonna need 2,000 or 3,000 more frags for him to max out everything. So yeah, hang in there if you want to go build for him. He's definitely a good immortal, but I don't think you're going to be using him a lot. Now let's take a look at Louis' stat and ultimate skill. Louis' stat is, a really strange immortal because Louis basically changes physical attacks to magical attacks for 9 seconds, like it says in the ultimate skill description here. For me, he seems to be having quite low physical attack compared to the like of pure physical Alex, even Peter, but he have a higher aptitude, intelligence and stuff like that, than the other frontline attackers, and tends to be a pretty good immortal to do or to have when you want to fight the regular elemental stuff. And energy regen seems to be fine. And keep in mind, if he had like maxed out artifact with surge passive, I think you're gonna be looking at around 115 energy region, something around that number. Also, I think in general, magical defense is really good for him. Physical defense is a little bit weak, and that's where I want to, talk about him a little, where he tends to die quite easily unless you have a defensive skill on him, and that's kind of the one of the issue with him, in my opinion, where he dies too fast, and you couldn't do any much with him on the battle. So now let's take a look at the ultimate skill. Passive increases attack speed by 20%. Active change physical to magical attacks for 9 seconds with a 55% chance to trigger lightning with each attack, dealing magical damage to target and 1 or 2 nearby units. And increase the magical damage they receive by 10% for 3 seconds. So this is very good for Hammurabi support, and I think that would be very nice for Hammurabi to have somebody like him in the team, especially if you want to build around Hammurabi. Hammurabi is the immortal that needs to proc his special ability, where you have like, if you have more negative effect, you can get damage increase, and with Luis, that damage gonna increase a lot, so that's pretty good for him. And Luis itself in a team, I don't think that is effective. I don't think I'm gonna show you guys in the game what I mean in a brief moment. So before we go into the arena, I just want to show you guys the immortal guide, and you can see here he is paired up like this, either with Darius, Luis in front. I think that is a very bad pairing for lightning. No tanks. The front line probably gonna die very, very fast. Backline is fine, and you can see like basically this team is very balanced. It says advanced, but it's more balanced, like in terms of Genghis Khan having attacking skills, and Hammurabi is having attacking skills with an aura, while the front line tends to be like having toxin barrier. I don't think that's really good on this team. But if you look on the left here, debuff damage increase, I think this one is the most ideal one if you want to run lightning. If you want to run lightning and you want Hammurabi as your main damage dealer, I think you should remove Genghis Khan and put somebody like a support in there, maybe and Theodora. If you can afford like Chaos Immortal, you go for Fu Fei, right? Or even Ninetales, the newer one. So that is the ideal lightning march. But that's if you can afford Chaos Immortal, I don't think you're gonna be put them in this lightning. So yeah, that's what I want to show you guys before we go take a look at his skill in this game. Now let's take a look at the training ground, and here I have Luis with his friends, Tokugawa, Fu Fei, and Hammurabi. In here is the comp that I would probably run with lightning. If you take away Fu Fei, I would probably have Theodora here instead if you cannot get Fu Fei. And I think that is the best comp for lightning with Hammurabi as a main damage dealer. So now let's take a look in the game or the battle replay to see the ultimate skill of Luis. I'm curious if Luis is gonna proc the lightning bolts, because his energy regen is pretty good. So there we go. On Alex, 1 lightning bolt. You can see here this is Luis, sorry. This is Luis debuff, which is pretty good, and you say it's working alright, decently. It's not too bad. See the lightning that drops down like that? That is Luis. And to me, it looks pretty decent, right? Everything of this looks decent. And if you look in the bell stats, he does pretty decent damage. The Howling Thunder is pretty decent because he procs too much, but that, like I always, right? He doesn't do enough damage. And then you have Hammurabi with the Judgment. I feel like if you want to run like this for real, I think you need to have like maxed out artifact for potential. You need their EAs, the immortal artifact as well, for them to work properly. If you want to use the general artifact like the stock one, I don't think it's gonna work on this team. You really need the high-end artifacts for them to work properly. So yeah, that's it about his ultimate. Ultimate seems to be pretty decent, but I don't think it's going to do enough damage. But the debuff is really good for him to support Hammurabi. So now let's take a look at his artifact. Artifact here, you can see that chance of triggering lightning strike from Howling Thunder is increased to 65%. And if you guys remember from this ultimate skill, he has the normal of 55%, so a 10% increase, which probably is going to be good, but in my opinion, it should be like 70 or 75 because even though it doesn't proc that often, like now, I don't think it's going to proc even more, even at 65. So yeah, other than that, I would prefer Surge to get extra attack speed, or sorry, energy regen to increase his ultimate more often. That's going to be very good for him. So yeah, now let's take a look at Luis' best skills. Here I picked out several skills that I think would benefit Luis as a free-to-play. I know Assembly Charge is a little bit grindy, but it's free-to-play. I think this skill will be good on Luis as well. And of course, if you are in the free-to-play and early game and you want to go for Luis, I think Physical Shield and Fighting Master is pretty good on him to the beginning, so he can continue to get his ultimate off and do the magical debuff to the enemy team. Also, the win rage, I think that's important for him, so he can proc his ultimate more often and normal attack and get extra energy regen. That's going to be a really huge thing. Also, this one is very niche, very situational. I set up a spell disintegrator on Luis because he has some magical attack. It could be a very good support to your mage if your mage have better mage skills than spell disintegrator. So you can put this skill on Luis. It's gonna work quite decent. And for the 3 skills, I pick the normal combos, Blade Vortex, Executioner, that can be very good as well. And then you have the Chaos Storm, which I think gonna be very good on Luis, and he must use it for his as one of the skills. Also, you have Blood Frenzy, that can be good as well if the damage can translate to translate to become like magical damage. That's gonna be very good for him. As for Toxin Barrier, is to keep it more sustainable in the team, especially against the type of Alex and Hannibal. So I personally used to run something like Physical Shield, maybe Lifelink, before I had any of the other skills like Assembly Charge and Wind Rage. I used Fighting Will, Physical Shield, and then I used Death Breath sometimes. Sometimes I switch to even adding more physical defense, like Fighting Master, so he can proc his ultimate so often as much as possible. Now let's take a look in the game how he looks like for his synergy. You can see here I put out some immortals for him that I think would be a good team for Luis to work with. And here you have Tokugawa, Hammurabi, and Khan, very standard, and I think that's his best comp in the game. Although you might want to change this immortal out for somebody like this to sustain your team more and possibly have Hammurabi pop off in the PvE and PvP part of the game. So yeah, let's check here. I know this might not be the ideal, but if you look at the immortal guide, lightning, and you have Hammurabi, right? And I think this one is gonna be most useful one. I think this one gonna be better one. However, if you don't have these skills or another skill like top tier 3 skills, I don't think you can compete with the better mages and even earth mage. But if you do, and you are possible to use the, for example, weakling curse and these kind of skills for your main team, I think they're gonna be very good for lightning. And let's actually see here, losing a bit too much, but that should be fine. We can see here that Luis is actually doing decent amount of damage. Why? Because of Theodora. She managed to heal up them long enough so they can do a lot of damage. Actually, let's take a look at this, because I think this is the best comp for lightning. And with the right skills, I think it's going to be very good. So keep in mind, my Luis is only 2 or 3 stars, 2 possibly, and then he's level 30. So I wouldn't, take this seriously enough, but I just want to showcase you guys how pretty good it is. If Luis can have, supports that he gets, that he wants, or that he needs. You can see here, reduce magical damage, that is from Luis here, right there again. So you can see that he's pretty good with it, right? The lightning strike pops up quite often. Imagine if I had him maxed out with, KVK skills, I think it's gonna be pretty strong right there. So it's a very good synergy to have like Hammurabi, Luis, Tokugawa, and Theodora together. I think that is the best synergy for Luis and to work in a lightning team. If you probably had Khan here, that might be a really, not a bad option, but you're gonna struggle a little bit more. So yeah, this is definitely the best comp for Luis comp in the lightning. I'm not gonna lie, after watching the report just now on a Noom and how much damage he did, I feel like he might be pretty good in the lightning march back in again. So will be seeing if I can get him back like max out or a little bit more stars before I try to use him again. So, but the artifact gonna have to play a role because they only increase 10% from 55 to 65. So that's gonna be a little bit issue that it doesn't buff a little bit more. But never mind that. I think Luis is a decent immortal. Do I think he fits for lightning? Yes. Do I think he can replace the double tank lightning? No. Do I even think he's the best lightning attacker? No. So yeah, that's my conclusion right there. So yeah, you can decide if you have him, try use him and test it out. Keep in mind you need the 3 skills, right? And maxed out boosts and stuff. And as for specializations, if I were you, I would probably pick this one. Thought Knight or Thought Battle, Knight Spirit, that would be perfect for Luis to add increased damage and attack speed. So keep in mind with the passive, so you get like 50% extra attack speed, which is a lot. So it might work out for you guys if you want, but in this day and age of the game, I don't think he's gonna be like super meta. So yeah, that's my conclusion about Luis. Thanks you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video.